Ugh, that kiss was disgusting. Ugh, I can't get it out of my head. That kiss was so disgusting. My gosh. Episode 3 of Kowloon Generic Romance. What an interesting episode. It almost feels like my theories around, the whole copied world itself and Kudou himself being the center of it is starting to get a little bit muddied. But at the same time, it's still kind of matching. But it's just like this episode feels like we're just going to throw that everything is a copy. Oh, here's Gwen. Gwen's back, and he's got a copy now. And the manga even implies that Gwen believes that Kudou might be a copy. It all kind of makes me wonder, what's the point of this world? Like, what are we doing here? What is the purpose of this place? They even have Xiaohei. She was talking about the idea that she wanted to leave, but then she changed her mind. Like having a lapse of judgment there and her almost snapping out of it. Very interesting. Very interesting. But yeah, I think everything around Kudou and Kujirai is more and more pushing me to the idea that I feel like Kudou is forcing himself not to get close to Kujirai. Like he's actively pushing her away and being a jerk, which I know that's probably bugging a lot of people. I'm trying to understand him. He's being a jerk and he's pushing Kujirai away, but at the same time, he's noticing all the differences from his past life with Kujirai. Like he's noting all these memories. And then he's seeing the differences, which, yes, does sort of play into what Kujirai is currently doing. The current Kujirai is trying to be different. She's not trying to be like the past Kujirai. She's actively grabbing things. Ooh, this fish tank, this will be different. Oh, this plush, this will be different. Oh, this will be different. I'm actively trying to do things that are different. The lipstick, I need to do this instead. So she's trying to be different, but at the same time, she's trying to prove to Kudou that her feelings are real. And he doesn't like it. Again, I think he's actively pushing back. Now, why? I don't know exactly why yet, but it is sort of implying the idea that Kowloon itself is collapsing. Having these scenes where he's going to this dead end, he's seeing a dead end, he doesn't know yet. That's the key thing there. He doesn't know why there's a dead end. What's happening to Kowloon? Why is Gwen gone? Why are things changing? Why is this place that I always want to be the same? Why is it different? It's very, very interesting, but yeah, a very, very cool episode. I really enjoyed it, but at the same time, the massive question marks around who the hell are these people and what are they after? I think, again, so far we've sort of implied that everybody has been a copy. And with the skip chapter, Gwen even mentioned the idea that Kudou himself might be a copy. It makes me believe the only thing that's going to be real here might be Hebinuma. But it could also be Kujirai. It could also be Kujirai trying to escape this reality, trying to hide away in this reality. But anyways, let's get in the episode proper, opening up with, like I usually do, opening up with the past Draco and Kudou and them hanging out together. At some point, yes, going to Kujirai's house, again, having more feelings for Kujirai kind of developing over time, looking around the apartment itself, and yes, getting an idea from Kujirai, the old Kujirai, what exactly this nostalgic feeling is. He says that he feels it, but he just doesn't know what it is. And I think that she does kind of put it in an interesting way, in the idea that it gives you a feeling like you've known something for a long time. It gives you a feeling that you've been there before. And this kind of leads me into believing that, yes, I believe that Kowloon itself has been built to be old for a reason. Like we see some shots here and there where it shows Kowloon from a distance, and it just looks like a cluster of old buildings, while everything else has kind of moved on. I think very early senses I got from it was this idea of the world itself moving on, becoming futuristic, going into technologies, and right at its core is Kowloon. And I think people come there because they like that feeling of the old, like that tight-knit feeling that things were. It kind of gives almost a parallel to current society and the idea that we're so wrapped up in the internet, so wrapped up in social media and stuff like that. We're blazing forward, but we're not noticing people next to us. It's the idea of the person on the phone at the restaurant while everybody's sitting in front of each other. We're all on our phones while we're waiting for our meal. I think that's what they're sort of giving a feeling there. Kowloon is sort of an old society that has been left behind. But yes, cut the next morning, they go to work, and yes, Hebinuma shows up out of nowhere. Apparently, yes, the clinic that they got was a building that was recommended by them, and so he's looking for another building. He picks out something and keeps looking at Kujirai. Oh, whatever's fine. I found what I wanted to find. He was just literally coming there to confirm where she worked. Like, that was the only reason he came there. But yes, the other thing here, it almost feels like Hebinuma is trying to push Kudou. That yes, he keeps looking to Kujirai. Kujirai is obviously upset about it. He even notes the idea that, yeah, I feel like, I'm getting in the between Kudou and the one that he likes. But additionally also noting that Kujirai likes him as well. It's almost as if he's confirming the relationship the two of them have, while at the same time trying to get in the middle of it, grabbing Kujirai, pulling her in. That kiss. Ugh, that kiss. But then spraying Kudou because he gets all angry. That was interesting because afterwards I don't think it was said in the anime, but in the manga, it specifically says as they're leaving, his assistant says, it's very surprising since you have an aversion to germs that you would kiss her. It's not just surprising that he kissed her, more surprising because he doesn't like germs. Yeah, he even peels off, I'm hoping it's a glove, it wasn't his skin. If he's a snake, he might be peeling off his skin off his hand, but he's peeling off his glove, and he's wanting more gloves. But yeah, it would make sense why he has that antibacterial spray. And the idea of him even kissing her is odd because her mouth would be full of germs. And yeah, he says the habit of snakes is to swallow its prey full. There's a lot of implying in this episode the idea of Adam and Eve. And the idea that the lipstick itself tasted like apples. Even in the manga, it shows a brief shot of Adam and Eve with the snake and the apple. Like, the last panel is literally Adam and Eve. You know what they're going for. We know what we're doing here. Which would make you believe that what was going on in that scene was a possibility of, yes, the snake itself trying to tempt Eve as Adam is standing right there. This is the idea of trying to tempt the two of them to get together. Cause that jealousy, possibly. And that goes to, again, my theory and the idea that Hebinuma knows this world has to progress a certain way and that Kudou needs to get with Kujirai. But Kudou's not getting with Kujirai, and he might be trying to cause them to get jealous and come together. But based on the conversation with Hebinuma later on, and yes, his conversations with Gwen, it doesn't seem like that's the case. It does seem like they're literally just finding them. Like, they've been looking for them, and they finally found them. Like, they didn't know that Kujirai and Kudou was actually here. But anyways, then we have the scene with the shop. I like the little snippet here where at some point the guy makes a joke about him having a junior that is so demanding. And he corrects him and saying, no, you should be saying it's nice to have a caring senior. This is something that the guy has said before in a previous loop or reality that seems to have bugged him. No, you're supposed to say it this way. Kudou carries the stuff back to her apartment and again notices everything that's different. He notices certain things that seem similar, but there's a lot of things that are different. He opens the fridge. The water's not there. With the other Kujirai, she liked to keep the water in the fridge so that the minerals can kind of, separate. Yeah, there's a plush over here. I like at some point she mentions the fact that this one apartment was taken, like a tenant came to that apartment they painted, and mentioned the idea that you might have to paint it again. He's like, yeah, it takes on the colors of those that live in it. Right there, he's noting, with Kujirai's apartment, it's taking on the colors of somebody different. This is not my Kujirai. With Kujirai B, she didn't have plushies. It was an oddity to him that there was nothing frilly there. She seemed kind of bland. She didn't have these colorful plushes and stuff. Girly stuff, essentially. Cutting the next day, yeah, she has some flowers for him. Are you bullying me? It is such a common bullying tactic. For those who don't know, yeah, typically with putting flowers on a desk, it usually means the person passed away. It's like a way of paying respects. So yeah, like a classroom, if a student dies, they'll put flowers on the desk. And yes, they do that to bully people. They'll put flowers on a desk of somebody that's alive in order to bully them. So he's like, immediately, are you bullying me? No, it's for thanks. And then yes, Xiaohei comes in and mentions the fact that the flower means my eyes are only for you. Kuji like completely freaks out and runs out. But yes, they'll do some shopping for some apartments for Xiaohei. She's looking for a new apartment. Interesting, again, right here, at some point she says, have you ever thought of leaving? She's asking Xiaohei, I mean, you're a part-time worker. You can easily find another job if you just move to Hong Kong or something like that. Why are you here? And Xiaohei says, I don't want to leave Kowloon. Even that time, I decided to stay. That time? Oh, did I say something? The assumption there is that it's probably the point in which Reiko, the first Kujirai, that she passed away. Maybe possibly back then when she would decide to leave, she decided otherwise. Or possibly this is sort of showing the code itself and the idea that if this is a re-realized world, if this is a generated world, yeah, Xiaohei herself could have decided at some point that she wanted to leave, but the system told her not to. Or possibly she's seen what was outside of the system and didn't like it. Going into that whole idea of what does the real world look like. And again, based on those little snippets that we see from Kujirai in the first episode, it could be that Kowloon itself is gone. It is just literally gone. I mean, even in this whole segment here, there is a mention once again in the manga of this idea of this Kowloon. Not that this is a single Kowloon, the idea that there is multiple Kowloons, or this is a recreated Kowloon. But yeah, Kudou comes by, mentions one apartment. She'd already seen the layout of it. It was super narrow, but perfect for Xiaohei. She likes it nice and narrow. She likes this like stuffy atmosphere, but there's plenty of storage, so it's perfect. Playing the idea of understanding who you're actually working with, the tenant themselves, what they want, not what you want. And then spotting the flowers, the eyes only for you, and what gazes does Kudou feel. But then that's when we have a very, very, very interesting scene with Hebinuma. That we jump over to the mansion. The maids are talking about this article coming out that apparently the son of Hebinuma, the one that took over, he is not really the son. It's like an illegitimate son. And that, yes, the one from the painting passed away with the madam, giving the idea that Hebinuma himself is not the real son. Interesting here because it cuts over to us seeing Hebinuma and Gwen, and I'm pretty sure with who was talking at what point, it implies that Gwen is saying Hebinuma leaked that information to the press. Hebinuma himself gave to the press the fact that he's not the legitimate child. Interesting. It seems like a very odd thing for him to do. Like, what is he trying to trigger? Again, unless it goes in my theory that I mentioned several times this episode, that, yeah, I think Hebinuma is trying to progress the story. Again, the idea that Kujirai and Kudou have to come together in order for it to progress the story to the end. This has to get out at some point, so he leaks it out. This story has to go to the public before the story can continue, before we can get to the end point. But additionally, that, yes, Gwen at some point went to go see the other Gwen, went by the store that Gwen is supposed to be working at and found out that, yes, the guy's not there anymore, which again implies here that this Gwen that's in the room with Hebinuma is a copy, possibly might be a copy. Or it could be that the Gwen that he went to go see was the copy. He also seen Kujirai and mentioned the fact that she's so close. Like, she is so perfect. Like, it was almost her. They're almost indistinguishable. But again, still here implying the idea that the Kujirai that he's seen is not the original Kujirai. This has got to be a copy. What's some other interesting things that were mentioned in the manga? In the manga, they're literally in his office. I don't know why they decided to. I guess they were trying to push more the idea that they have a relationship. In the manga, they're not in bed together. It does imply they kind of like each other. I think their phone, the contact is like honey. So they obviously seem like they do like each other. But the bed scene was a little bit further than the manga. The manga, they're in this office, and Hebinuma at some point very quickly jumps on Gwen when he mentions the idea that he went to go see Kujirai. He says specifically, "You didn't." And Gwen says, "No, don't worry. I didn't drink or eat anything." So he says, "Please be careful." It almost implies the two of them are kind of being played out as like snakes. And the idea that Hebinuma was afraid that Gwen would have consumed Kujirai. I don't know. It seems like kind of a weird statement to make. But towards the very end of the scene, Hebinuma goes to Gwen, kind of wraps his arms around Gwen, and says, "Don't wander around too much. You know the superstition, right? That if you meet your doppelganger, you'll lose your life." And yes, this is Gwen. So implying here that, yes, if this Gwen that Hebinuma is with in that room, if he were to walk around too much, he might end up bumping into the other Gwen, and then he'll lose his life. Again, right here, already separating the two of them. There's two Gwens in this reality. Then we have the second very, very interesting scene. That is Kujirai and this other Gwen on a rooftop. They obviously both recognize each other, and she questions him. "Oh, I meant to see you before, Gwen. I know it's a weird question." Right here, Kujirai just believes that it is the Gwen from the bar. Like, this is the same guy from that tea place. So she's asking him, "Do you know me from before?" It's like, "Yeah, I know Kudou. I know Kujirai, but I don't know you." I know those two people, but I don't know who you are. You're different. You're a different person, which is interesting because the other Gwen seemed to speak as if that was Kujirai. That was the one from the photo. Yeah, that's from your guys' engagement. It seemed like that Gwen, the one that disappeared, seemed to know exactly who Kujirai was. This guy is suspicious of who she is. She's not quite the same person. This is a different one. And he also says it's really annoying. It's almost like reliving the memories of a past friend, but it's not her. It's like somebody else has invaded that memory. I'm living a memory right now, but there's somebody else in that friend's shoes. Very interesting. It almost feels like he's disgusted by this. This is a precious memory of mine, and you're stepping on it. But he's also saying, but you don't know that. I kind of pity you. It's pitiable that you don't even know that. You're another person in here. You're living someone else's life without noticing it. Now, there's an oddity. I might be reading into that statement a bit too much there, but it almost gives me a feeling like a player. That somebody is in this world playing the role of Kujirai. Now, that would be an interesting one. That would be a very interesting one, is if this is just a lot of memories and people live in this world playing the roles of different individuals, just not knowing their past life. That would be a very interesting direction to take this, that everybody in this world is a player playing the role of somebody else's life. But yeah, in the manga right here, this Gwen says specifically in his mind, he doesn't even know if Kudou in this world is going to be the right Kudou. Everybody is being played out as if they might not be the real one, that they're all memories. Now he says might not be, not saying specifically that he's not. I'm still stuck on the idea that Kudou is at the center of all this, that everything else is copies. And then, as he goes to leave, he says, but considering that I was also here, and he says, never mind, walks away. Even Gwen right here is acknowledging that even he has a copy, or that he is the copy. That's the other interesting statement that was made in the manga. Again, we're playing out like everybody's a copy. Everybody's a copy. But yeah, it breaks Kujirai. She's like, okay, so I'm not even Kujirai B. Definitely not her. I'm living her life. Walks in the office. Kudou says that he hates her. Again, I think he's just trying to push her away. Living her life, living in her home. Even the time he loved her does not belong to me. I respect here because Kujirai was trying to be different. And it sucks that she right here is realizing that no matter what, she can't fit those shoes. She's having like a massive like identity crisis right now. Even though she's trying not to be the person that everybody sees her as, she's still living in those shoes. And it's shown as they're up there with the furnace that at some point she's like, you know I'm not Reiko, right? Since coming here, nothing that I've found, nothing that I have is mine. None of it belongs to me. Again, she tried to break out from being that Kujirai. I got the fish tank. I got the lemon chicken. I kept doing things that were against what you would see. I didn't go to our usual restaurant. I brought you to the lemon chicken. And even my love for you is not hers. But then Kudou says, no, you shouldn't know this either. Just like you firmly believe that your current life belongs to you, your love for me is just an illusion. Interesting. And that's when she breaks. That's when she breaks. Everything is an illusion. My desire for you, always looking at you, seeking your approval, all that stuff, wanting to touch you, all that stuff is an illusion. And then she breaks. Now, here's going to be the interesting question. And this is probably my biggest theory. Next episode, reset. Next episode, reset. I think she's totally going to get a reset. And again, I think this all stems on the idea that Kudou does not want to get close to her because that's when everything resets. Everything falls apart. She dies or whatever, and everything falls apart. My other theory is that when Hebinuma kissed Kujirai, he slipped a pill inside of her mouth. Just straight threw that down the hole, right down her throat, just throw it right in there. And then that pill kicks in, sends her back to the clinic, and then he's able to essentially have her to himself. That's the question mark there. But super interesting. This entire episode is super interesting. Like I said, the biggest part is like everybody basically being a copy, implying that Xiaohei wanted to get out of there. How much Hebinuma is going after her, this Gwen guy and how he's a copy as well, and he's snooping around too much. All that stuff's very interesting, but it's also implying with what they said about Gwen and the Doppelganger that we don't have two of anybody yet besides Gwen. And what the heck that's going to mean? That's the question mark, but super interesting episode. I hope you guys enjoyed my video. As always, if you did, hit the like button down below, comment, let me know the episode. Additionally, if you like this content, you want to support channel more, links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. Until next time, you'll take care.